Hello and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell and I am here with Noah Fleischman. We are here for another basketball update. It is by far the most exciting basketball update of the season to date because we are going to spend most of this show talking about NC State's ACC Championship win. What a performance. What a week for the NC State men's basketball team, making history in Washington, D.C., the first team ever to win 5 games in 5 days to win the title. Noah was there the entire week. We are going to lean heavily on his point of view for this podcast, talking us through what that experience was like, what it was like to see the confetti fall in DC, and be around the team, talk to the players, talk to Coach Keats about this historic win and the complete 180 of NC State's men's basketball season. And we're also going to get into the tournament bids for both the men's and women's teams, preview what's coming up this week. But before we do so, just a quick housekeeping note that we're both writers for the Wolfpacker.com. That's NC State's site on the On3 network, the fastest growing college football and basketball sports network out there. If you're looking for team analysis for both tournament runs this week, if you're looking for recruiting scoops, the upcoming basketball transfer portal it's already open, and I think things are going to start heating up there in about a week. So all that and more is coming up, and not to mention we're in the middle of football spring practice as well. So a lot going on around NC State athletics, and you can check it all out on the Wolfpacker.com for $1 for your first month. A special deal there, so go check it out. Doesn't get cheaper than that. $1 for 1 month on the Wolfpacker.com. All right, Noah. So you drive up to DC, I believe on Monday, correct?
Yep, Monday.
Sunday.
I drove up Sunday.
You drive up Sunday. You're preparing to see the Pack play on Tuesday against Louisville. You're back in your neck of the woods. It's around where you grew up. And then you witness ACC history. Go ahead. Ball is in your court. Walk us through what that experience was like to see NC State's magical run through March.
It was quite the run. I mean, I drove up Sunday. They had a media availability Monday, open practice Monday at Capital One Arena, ahead of their Tuesday game against 15-seed Louisville. And I mean, we can kind of quickly run through the entire run through the ACC tournament. They were down 12 in the first 8 minutes to Louisville, and I thought that was it. I thought it was done. The way the season ended, the regular season, 4-game losing streak, they lost 7 of 9 going into the tournament. I was like, okay, this is how it's going to end. They come back and beat Louisville. I was like, all right, good win. They played Syracuse. And they beat them by 18. And that's really where it turned the page for me when I was like, okay, this team is a different team than they were 3 days before. And they in the city I'm sitting in now in Pittsburgh. And I was like, all right, see what happens. I got Duke Wednesday. See how it goes. They lost both games to Duke. What they do, they avenge both losses to Duke like they did Syracuse, beat them to get into the semifinals for the first time under Kevin Keats. It's like, all right, really, really good. First time since 2014. It had been 10 years since they had been that far in the tournament. It was all right. They're playing Virginia. They played Virginia close. I think this was the game I felt the best about going into the whole tournament.
Why is that?
They beat Virginia once. Mm-hmm. They went to overtime with Virginia in Charlottesville in the other game. I was like, they could have won that game too on a Casey Morsell 3-quarter court shot. We had a good look at the end of the game. Yeah. So I was like, all right, it felt really, really good. They ended up falling behind in that game by 7 at one point, 6 in the last minute. Casey Morsell gets fouled on a 3. Knocks down all 3 free throws. Pretty big. Nobody's been talking about because Michael O'Connell hits a buzzer beater 3, a Hail Mary heave, a long NBA 3 with Isaac McNeely fouling him. That wasn't called a foul. If you look at the picture, he literally smacks his hand. His hand is literally in his face at one point, goes up, hits O'Connell's hand on the follow through. O'Connell hits it off the backboard, rattles off the rim, and drops.
Rolls around a little bit and falls in, man. What a shot. What a moment. Just a classic March shot right there, man. Like unreal.
If anything doesn't say this is March, I think that shot says this is March. Mm-hmm. Sends it to overtime. Wolfpack feed DJ Burns. He dominates, scores 7 of their 14 points in overtime. They win pretty handily in the overtime period. And Virginia didn't record a single stop on the defensive end in overtime. NC State scored on all 5 possessions to win the game, forcing their first ACC Tournament championship game since 2007, playing the Tar Heels, who had beaten them in the last 2 times they played them in that game. And I was like, when is this going to run out of gas? 5 games, 5 days. First team never even played 5 games in the ACC tournament, albeit win them all. And what do? They turn around. They never really trailed by much, Ethan. They didn't. They won that game pretty comfortably. Ended up winning 84-76 over Carolina to win the ACC title, their first since 1987. And, I mean, it was one of those games where I never thought they were going to lose. I did think they were going to lose Virginia. I had a whole story written until the buzzer beater hit. This was a game I did not think they were going to lose at any point during the game because of how every time Carolina pushed ahead a little bit, NC State fought right back. They threw another punch. That's what this team has been known for basically down the stretch of they're going to fight. Usually it was they're going to fall behind by 15, fight back within 3, and make it a game. But they never fell behind after the Louisville game. They never fell behind by double digits like that, right? And I think that was the biggest growth point in this team. DJ Horn with 29. He did foul out of the game, still scored 29 points in 32 minutes, playing with an injured hip. Talk about a legacy game against Carolina. And DJ Burns, 20 points in the championship game. He had, four boards. And then Mo Diarra, another double-double from him, 11 points, 14 boards. It was an all-around effort in this entire tournament. Everyone stepped up. The guard plays was amazing, I think, scoring-wise from Michael O'Connell, who scored in double digits in all 5 games. He had only scored double digits 3 times in the entire regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting contributions from everybody. Casey Marcel was pretty consistently scoring anywhere from 8 to, he scored 25 in the first game. He was scoring the ball well. And that's what it came down to. It came down to a full team effort. Mo Diarra was doing Mo Diarra things. He had 4 rebounds in the first game, didn't have less than 12 the rest of the way. He averaged, I think, nearly 12 boards a game. He had 16 in the game. He had 14 in the championship game. It was an all-around effort at Ethan, and that's really what set this team apart was they clicked at the right time and got guys going. Kevin Keats, by the championship game, did not look tense. There was times in the season where he was coaching, he looked really tense. Things weren't going well. He would start to get a little, tense on the bench. You could feel it. He never felt like that against Carolina. And who did? Hubert Davis, a guy who really should be, their number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament for a reason. He was the one looking nervous, looking tense, and for a good reason. NC State ends up winning, beating the Tar Heels. It snaps, I think, a 4-game losing streak in the ACC title game, I think. They lost twice to Duke and twice to North Carolina in between their last championship win and this one. All-around effort, punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament. That's where we sit now. I'm sure we can talk about it. But hell of a week for NC State men's basketball. They follow up and deliver when they needed to. Kevin Keats goes from being called for his job on Monday to a 2-year extension on Saturday night. He's now under contract through 2030 with a $400,000 raise and a $100,000 bonus. That's heck of a week for him. He coaches his tail off in that week, and I think he really earned all of the incentives that are in his contract.
Yeah, for every criticism that is leveled against Keats, and I would say fairly for most of the season, he deserves 10 times the praise for the coaching job through that tournament. 5 games in 5 days is no joke. It's and it's as much physical as it is mental, right? Like I'm sure you talk to the players and the coaches about it, Noah, but it's like you finish a game at 7:30, and then you have to go and watch film at 10 p.m. Like you have to. It's not a 4-day turnaround. It is a 2-hour turnaround that you get.
The semifinal ended at midnight.
Yeah, right. So you're either pulling an all-nighter or you're waking up at the crack of dawn because you're like, all right, it's time to prep. It's time to get ready for another, the NCAA tournament team because they had to beat a couple of them to get there. So yeah, three.
Well, one of them is we're recording this on Tuesday night. One of them is currently laying an egg in the NCAA tournament, but
yeah,
that's not
soon to not be NCAA tournament team UVA. But man, just the job that Coach Keats did to get this team refocused and ready, and the rest of the staff too. You have to credit the assistants as well, the training staff, the strength and conditioning staff. Like it was just a total program effort on the court and off the court. And that's what college basketball is about. That is, NC State's history is filled with magical runs like that. And it was so cool as, Noah and I obviously haven't been a part of, that history. We've talked to guys like Tim Peeler, my old boss, Matt Carter, who has given me insight into those runs. but we've never gotten to experience anything like that. And man, it was unreal. It was a really, really cool experience to be a part of. No, I'm sure you enjoyed it being there on site as well. I wanted to shout out Mo Diarra as well. He was doing all of this, pulling down all these rebounds while fasting during the day. So I mean, which game was it? Was it UVA or Syracuse where he was able to eat like midway through the game because the sun had set? And
Yeah, it was Duke and Syracuse had both. Duke for sure. I believe Syracuse as well, where they basically pull him out the second the sun goes down, so he can go eat.
so just the athletic feat that takes to perform at that level when you're fasting. Oh my gosh, just so much respect to him for playing at that super high level. Huge double in the championship game. I thought he was a huge part of a part of that win as well. And man, I don't think you can say enough about this team. And they got to talk the talk after they won that game, and it was cool. It was cool to see, man. I mean, we spent the whole season talking to these guys through the ups and the downs, and just to see that pure joy through everyone's face. No, I wanted to ask about the celebration. Any highlights? Anything stand out from the final buzzer on there?
Yeah, I mean they were, so they were up big enough, but Kevin Keats could put the walk-ons in, right? Get them in, and so DJ Horn's on the bench for the buzzer, and he just immediately the buzzer goes off, and he's just crying, and this meant a lot for him. He came back to Raleigh, a kid that grew up in Cary, like this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to win an ACC title. Didn't look like it was going to happen, to be completely honest, down the stretch of the regular season. Well, he beats 3 of the top national programs in the conference, including North Carolina and Duke. He grew up a Duke fan. Pretty cool to beat both of them for the first time in his career. And he was just crying. You could tell how much it meant to him. It meant a lot to everybody, but I think it meant a little bit more to a guy like DJ Horn, who came back for his last year looking to get back to the NCAA tournament. He had some heroics. We'll talk about that later, what he did last year in the NCAA tournament at Arizona State. But, I mean, I think he did really, really well. And they celebrated a lot on the court. Cut the nets down, go in the locker room, go spray some sparkling water all over the place, had some fun. And those guys were just, super confident. We saw it all week. They were really, really confident group. They had nothing to lose. Nothing. And they played with it. And it really worked out really, really well for them. Playing with supreme confidence. Every time they got a win, their confidence levels went up through the roof. You would be like, is this going to be a hangover game? But no game for them was a hangover game. They were good and ready to play. There's only one more thing I want to touch on the ACC tournament. He's really going back to Kevin Keats' coaching. He managed DJ Burns the best I think anybody has the entire year. 5 games in 5 days. This man played 5 straight games. He had 11 minutes against Louisville, 12 points, but didn't play a lot. He played 24 minutes against Syracuse, 26 minutes against Duke, 24 minutes against UVA, and 28 against North Carolina. Pretty even distribution of minutes. Scored 15, 10, 19, and 20. ACC Tournament MVP, because when he's on the court, he makes a difference. Kevin Keats was able to limit the amount they used him in like consecutive minute stretches, getting him breaks. So when he's on the court, he is effective. He never looked gassed. He was always excited. And, from where we were sitting right behind the bench, championship game, he's sitting on the bench right in front of me. And he is straight up like clowning North Carolina in the middle of the game. Like they're passing the ball around on the offensive, and he goes, no, don't let him shoot it. Passes Elliot Cadeau for 3. He goes, we'll live with that. He missed it. DJ Burns' first one out clapping for his team. So, he played really, really well. Probably his best stretch of the season, I think, based on production and the amount of time he was on the floor. I think that strategy they used is perfect. And it ended with him winning the MVP, winning, trending number 1 on Twitter on Friday night of the ACC tournament. He was the man on social media. He still is the man on social media. People are trying to rally around the legend of DJ Burns. There's shirts being printed. There's everything, Ethan. This man is starting to ink himself in NC State history by what he's going to do. And, I think this week he can add to it. But that was the last thing I had on the ACC tournament, just of how well they used a guy who struggled with some conditioning at points this year. Did not have any problems with that in 5 games in 5 days. That's a big step, not only the coaching staff, but the DJ Burns himself. He's taking care of himself. He's playing well. He's showing he can have the endurance to play multiple days in a row. And I think that was a really big step in his growth.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, shoot, now you look at it, and it has all the makings of a potential super, super fun tournament team. I mean, yeah, if you look at the brackets, I think there's a big chunk of folks that are picking NC State to pull off an upset in the round of 64. And you can see why. You kind of have the recipe. It's, you have a dominant big man who can reliably score in the post. You have a microwave guard who can get hot at any minute. And then you have a ton of momentum coming out of the ACC tournament. So really looking forward to seeing how they do against the number 6 seed Texas Tech. We're going to get into that. But before we do so, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling marketplace. Whether you're looking for tickets to, the tournament, NC State's first tournament game, whether you're looking for tickets to a Canes game, Durham Bulls season's coming up. If you're looking for Durham Bulls tickets or a concert, a comedy show, whatever it is, you can find it all on Game Time. You can find Game Time on any app store or at gametime.co on your web browser. Go check it out if you do use it. My favorite part about it on the app is that when you log on and you pick whatever game you're looking for, you can see the view from the seat that you would be sitting in. I hold it up. If you're going to Pittsburgh this week and you still need a ticket, you can find right now the cheapest ticket to get in is $70. And this is what it looks like from the Penguins Arena, I believe, in Pittsburgh. So right now they have a deal right now for tickets right there for 5% off, and we can sweeten the deal even more by if you use code Wolfpack when you check out, you'll get $20 off. So there you go. Exciting opportunity to go see the Wolfpack play in person. You can get it for $20 cheaper on the Game Time app or gametime.co on your web browser. All right, Noah, let's talk March Madness. Let's talk the NCAA Tournament. Both NC State basketball programs are going dancing for the second consecutive year. Both programs with some momentum. Both programs made ACC Championship appearances. They were the only ACC team to make both the men's and women's semifinal, and of course the final as well. So a lot of momentum going into this tournament. Very exciting for both teams. NC State, of course, the men's squad landed a number 11 seed and a Thursday, March 21st matchup against number 6 seed Texas Tech out of the Big 12. NC State with, the closer geographical distance. So maybe it'll be a pro Wolfpack club crowd. And it will also be a late night tip off, a 9:40 tip in Pittsburgh. Noah, you wrote what I thought was a very good in-depth scouting report on our website today. Take us through Texas Tech. What should the Wolfpack fan base be looking out for against the Red Raiders?
It's an interesting matchup. Texas Tech, when you look at it, they're a great offense. They ranked 23rd best offensive efficiency in Division I basketball, according to Ken Palm. Really, really high. But their defense is in the top 50 as well. They play at average tempo, so they're not going to run up and down the floor on you. They're just really, really good at hitting their shots. They rely on hitting the three. That's going to be an important topic on Thursday night in Pittsburgh, where I'm at right now. We got stuff going on this week here. They take, Ethan, 40% of their shots are three-pointers, and They hit 39% of them. So they can pour it in from three. That's going to be the most important part about this entire thing is they take a lot of threes. They hit a lot of threes. NC State's going to have to force them inside. Why, you say? They don't have size. They play a 4-guard lineup. They have a 7-footer at the post, but he's out. He's only played in one game of their last 9, which 13 minutes, 0 points. That is Warren Washington. He's averaging 9.9 points and 7.4 boards. He just hasn't played in a while. If he does play on Thursday, don't know what to expect since he hasn't played in about a month. He has one game in there, didn't do anything in it. If he doesn't play, then that really gives NC State the advantage because they have nobody to match up with a guy like DJ Burns. They've got a backup post in Robert Jennings. He's 6'7". DJ Burns is 6'9". Mo Diarra is 6'10". Good luck because those guys will be able to dominate the boards. And that's going to be another important factor, running them off the three-point line and dominating the glass. Because when Texas Tech loses games, they are out-rebounded. I have the number. They are out-rebounded by, where'd you go? by 8.3 rebounds a game, including 3.8 fewer offensive rebounds per loss. So that's the thing. They're also a very streaky team. When they win, they're averaging 82.4 a game. When they lose, 63.7. Streaky team, run them off the three-point line. If they don't get three-point shooting going, their offense gets stagnant. And that is what is going to allow NC State to have a chance in this game, even though they just played 5 games in 5 days. Defense will win championships. DJ Burns will win games. And those two will be important against the Red Raiders, who are battling injury, because Washington he's practicing. Grant McCaslin said on Sunday they didn't want to play him unless he's as close to full speed as possible in practice. Doesn't seem like he's there yet. He might be there by Thursday. Who knows? But that's where they're at. The game that will be decided on the defensive end for NC State, because if your defense shows up, you can avoid the missed shots. NC State didn't have that problem too much in the ACC tournament. They played a really, really great offensive game against North Carolina. I'd expect them to do that again, hopefully, against Texas Tech. But it comes down to defense and stopping a prolific offense. They did pretty good at that against Carolina and RJ Davis. So we'll see what they can do this time around.
Yeah, holding UNC to 26.7% from behind the arc in the championship game was no small feat. So if you can, replicate that sort of perimeter defense against the Red Raiders, we'll see what happens, man. Lot of momentum behind the pack, and that's a good thing to have this time of year. Noah, it's that season. I know you're filling out a bracket right now. Who are you picking when you're filling out your bracket? Are you going NC State or Texas Tech?
The public thinks NC State's going to win. They're the most bet team by MGM to make it to the Sweet 16. We're not even talking about the first round. They're saying Sweet 16, second weekend. Don't know if I go that far quite yet, because Kentucky's sitting there on Saturday if they win Thursday. But I do think that they have a good chance to beat Texas Tech. I'll go on the record. I'll say NC State beats Texas Tech. I'll knock on the desk right here so people don't come after me if it doesn't go that way, if I jinxed it. But I knocked on wood, so we're good there. I think that NC State's size will give Texas Tech problems. And their defense has proven it can play with elite offenses. It did against Carolina. Shut up really, really well. Did against Duke, too. Virginia's not really an elite offense. We saw them score 42 points tonight. But it did against the elite offenses they played in the ACC Tournament. I think that shows, again, they're playing desperate, I still think. They played desperate through the ACC Tournament because they know they needed to win to get in this point. Now, they've got nothing to lose, Ethan. And what's a dangerous team is one with literally nothing to lose.
Yep.
Because they have no expectations of winning. They're the 11th seed. If they win a game, great, right? There's no expectations,
yeah.
By pundits saying, you know what, NC State is a Sweet 16 team. Nobody's saying that. The people in the sports books are, because they're betting that because the odds are good in that favor, which tells you something. But I think that's the best part about them is they're a team that's desperate. Unlike the women's team who's going to play with pressure. The men's team has no pressure going into this tournament. They can win as many games as possible. And guess what? It's icing on the cake for what's already been a really, really successful month of March.
Well, yeah. Then let's switch gears, Noah, to a team that definitely does have expectations on it. The NC State women's basketball team, of course, they fell in the ACC Championship to Notre Dame, a really good Notre Dame game. They got a 2 seed, and NC State ended up on the number 3 seed line. About what I think pretty much every bracketologist expected them to end up with. That does mean they get to host games in Reynolds, which is back in Reynolds after having to travel to for the first couple games last year. So that's exciting. I'm really excited to cover an NCAA tournament game at Reynolds Coliseum, and they will host 3 other schools. It will be number 6 seed Tennessee, number 11 seed Green Bay, and number 14 seed Chattanooga. And that last school, that should raise eyebrows for every NC State fan because, of course, that NCAA selection committee, they love their storylines. And this is a big one because, of course, Chattanooga is Wes Moore's former school. He coached there from 1998 to 2013, I believe. Won 12 Southern Conference regular season championships, 9 league tournament titles during that tenure before coming to Raleigh in 2013. And, he has a lengthy history there. I mean, Madison Hayes, the senior guard for the Wolfpack, her family has known Wes Moore forever because she's from Chattanooga, and he had such an established basketball history there. He was such a huge part of that program's history, and now, of course, he is such a huge part of NC State's history as their longtime head coach. They've played twice since Westmore left Chattanooga for NC State. NC State has won both games by comfortable margins, by at least 20 points. So, but the Mocs, don't sleep on them. Do not sleep in them. Sleep on them because they won the Southern Conference regular season and conference championships to secure the automatic bid. They're 28-4 overall this season and have one high major win against Mississippi State. I'll tell you what, the one player that you're going to have to watch out is Jada Gwynn. She's putting up almost 20 points per game, 19.7 this year, and just an elite scoring guard. The good news for the Pack is, for the most part this season, they've done a really good job against volume scoring guards, because you have folks like Isaiah James, Sanaya Rivers, Madison Hayes, Zoe Brooks can all guard opposing guards at a very high level, as they showed, especially down the stretch of the season there. So I think it's really going to be that's going to be what that matchup boils down to. Can they stop Jada? If they can, then I think they'll be in pretty good shape there. And then, well, it sets up another really interesting storyline potentially, because number 6 Tennessee is going to play number 11 Green Bay. And Kelly Harper is the head coach of Tennessee. Who's Kelly Harper, Noah? The head coach at NC State before Westmore. Really, really successful coach for a lot of years. Wasn't bad at NC State. It finished 70-64, but as Kay Yao established and Westmore has kind of maintained throughout his tenure, there's just a different standard of success at NC State. She has gone on to Tennessee and built them up into a tournament team right now, and they're 19-12 this year. And have a solid team. I think it's honestly a really tough matchup for a round of 32 game. I mean, they only have 19 wins, but Noah, they were within like a buzzer-beating 3 in the SEC tournament of beating an undefeated South Carolina team. So they're capable.
They're within playing defense against the South Carolina team. All they need to do is contest a 3 and they win the game.
Yeah, you're probably right. So
or hit 2 free throws on the other end before that 3 happened, or one of those free throws, and that 3 is a game tying 3, and you go to overtime and try to win it that way. That's not the point.
Yeah, but so the point is, you're about as close as you can get to beating, I'd say undisputed, the best team in the country. I don't think that's a hot take. An undefeated South Carolina squad. So, man, it's a drama-packed first couple of rounds for NC State. But hey, it's March. That's what you live for this time of year. So they'll have to pick up 2 hard-fought wins, I think, in the first couple rounds. The Reynolds crowd will help. That place is going to be rocking. I'm really excited to see the support for the women's basketball program. It has been great the entire year. So I'm sure that will continue into this weekend as well. I'm pretty comfortable right now going ahead and predicting a win against Chattanooga. The Tennessee game, it gets interesting. We'll have to see. Of course, both teams have to win to get to that point. We'll talk about it then. But not an easy road to get to the Sweet 16 in Portland. And we'll see how that all turns out for them in a few days now. In a few days, man, we're already at the NCAA tournament. It feels like we've been covering these 2 teams for forever, but also for no time at all at the same time. This is always such a fun time of year to be doing this job, and we are super grateful to be here with you all. And that's the show for today, folks. Really appreciate you tuning in. We'll be talking and writing about these NCAA tournament runs. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, it is a busy time for football recruiting as well. I'm hitting the road in the morning, or I guess at the same time as you are listening to this pod, Wednesday. But so there will be updates all over the Wolfpacker.com for football recruiting, while we are also prepping for these basketball tournament runs. Thanks again for watching and listening, and we will see you next week.